I am Puss in Boots.
Puss in Boots has always been a bit of an outsider in the Shrek movies. Darker, more serious, but still fitting with the goofy tone of the films when needed. The first solo Puss in Boots movie was a breath of fresh air, a proper adventure rather than just a pastiche. And now, over a decade later, Puss in Boots returns once again to breathe new life into the Shrek franchise with one of the best animated movies of the year. There are pop culture references and needle drops, but they're in service of a mature and complex story about facing death and embracing life. Make no mistake, this is the Logan of the Shrek franchise we didn't know we needed.
When you only have one life, that's what makes it special.
Go get him, Tiger.
Hey, take it easy.
After countless death-defying stunts and adventures, Puss in Boots is at the top of his game. The cat feels invincible and constantly puts himself in unnecessary danger. That is, until he discovers he's on his last life and it can all end at any moment.
The legend will never die.
Worse yet, he's being chased by Death Incarnate, the Big Bad Wolf, voiced by a fantastic and terrifying Wagner Moura. His only salvation? A mythical wishing star that can grant him his lives back, if he gets to it before a collection of fairy tale characters beats him to the treasure. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is heavily inspired by westerns in its depiction of an old cowboy confronting his own mortality after a lifetime of great tales and adventures. You can easily replace Puss's sword for a gun and his cape for a poncho and think it's a kid's version of Clint Eastwood's The Man with No Name. It's one of the darkest and most mature movies DreamWorks Animation has done in years, with themes about confronting death and reckoning with some hard truths, like the fact that people you love can betray you and that you can end up alone. But it's not all doom and gloom, as the story comes off as rather life-affirming with an uplifting message about embracing every day like it's your last. The Logan comparison is not just in tone, but in action too, as Puss in Boots: The Last Wish has some of the best fights you'll see in a Western animated film. The camera movement is dynamic, unafraid to shift to inventive positions to give us unusual angles to place us right in the middle of the action. The film even plays with frame rate like Into the Spider-Verse did, changing depending on Puss's confidence. In the first action scene in the movie where Puss fights a stone giant, the animation is fluid and fast-paced, as he feels unbeatable. Later, when fighting Big Bad Wolf, the frame rate slows down as Puss realizes he's in trouble. Also like Into the Spider-Verse, The Last Wish is a Technicolor marvel, using a painterly style to give the film a fairy tale look. But it can be scary too, as the stakes feel surprisingly real here. Anytime Mora's Big Bad Wolf is on screen, you feel the tension thanks to his blood-red eyes, his ominous whistling, and black robe. Granted, this is still a DreamWorks movie, so there's still a lot of jokes. The Last Wish has a few contemporary references, like a kid rejoicing that Puss stepped on his face, while most are just timeless gags. If you're expecting more Shrek-like humor, you might be disappointed. But if you recognize that hearing Antonio Banderas deliver his own eulogy with no one else around him sounds hysterical, this is the movie for you.
We are gathered here today to say goodbye to Puss in Boots.
Speaking of the actors, there is no empty stunt casting going on in this A-list ensemble. From Wagner to Florence Pugh, Olivia Colman, and even John Mulaney, they work in the context of the story and justify their high-profile casting. In true Shrek fashion, they play fairy tale characters you may recognize, but in uniquely twisted ways.
Cool! Another member of the team! I'm Puss's therapy dog!
Definitely not!
Finally! You need therapy.
Puss in Boots: The Last Wish takes not only the Shrek franchise, but DreamWorks Animation to exciting new places. It's a spaghetti western-inspired tale of an aging cowboy on one last adventure, with some rather mature themes, aided by stunning animation that mixes 3D with 2D effects and a painterly style that gives the film a unique look. For more reviews, check out what we thought of Willow and Wednesday. And for everything else, stick with IGN.